This website is a part of the Epilepsy workshop and runs the mathematical algorithm that the students will be using to complete their tasks. In this video, I'll just run through quickly how the website works so you can support the students during the workshop. There are also information sheets that they can refer back to help them along the way. At first, we'll see that we've got the network structure on the left and the EEG output on the right. The network structure is just a simple 4-node structure which can be considered the front and back of the brain, A and B at the front, C and D at the back. And as mentioned previously, we have the arrows between them which shows the connection strength. These arrows are directional, which is important for the tasks ahead. The first part of the task is to consider how changing the network structure will change the output of the EEG. There are 8 tasks and 8 different patients that the students can work on, and these can be found at the top in the drop down here. Each patient has a different network structure at the beginning, so clicking on these will change the structure, and it will also change the noise, connection strength and excitability for them. Each patient is designed to have a slightly different outcome, so hopefully the students will get a variety of different outcomes and patients, and they can always try each task as well. So the students can click on their patient at the beginning, and then if they click run, they will get their desired outcome. And this is the original output, the kind of baseline brain of the patient, if we consider it that way. So they said the first part of the task is to see how if changing the network structure will change the EEG output. So for example, this one, Harry here, his structure's on the left and his EEG output is on the right. And the EEG here shows different spikes along the way. And each one of these is considered, it's not considered an individual seizure, but as a whole, this is seizure-like output. So we say there's just a lot of activity going on the brain. However, D at the bottom is quite quiet, it's quite simple, it doesn't look like it's got a lot of activity going on. So D, node D in this portion of the brain doesn't really seem to be having much seizure activity. So these are the kind of questions and the kind of things we want to lead the students down as well when considering what is going on with the network structure. So the goal of the tasks is to see how can we reduce the EEG output to no seizure-like activity. Can we change the network structure and can we change the noise, connection strength and excitability to reduce this down and see which one of these, whether it's one on its own or if it's a combination of different things, reduces this. And once we've figured out where the seizures are coming from and what we can do to reduce them, we can work backwards then and see whether an appropriate drug will work to do this or if we recommend surgery or things like that for them. So the first task is figuring out where the seizures come from and what we can do to reduce them. So the first part of the task is asking them to look at the network structure and change it. So to change the network structure, you can left click on an arrow and change the direction, or you can right click and remove the line. And the task will instruct them and direct them through this as well. At the bottom under the network structure, there's a little tab here as well where you can add in the arrows between them, so B to A. As they are a lot of different combinations, we don't have them all here, but you can add in the B to A and then you can reverse it by left clicking. Also, if you've played around with the structure and you want it to go back to the very beginning structure, the original patient structure, you can click reset network structure here and that will apply. So that's how you change the network structure. If you want to change the noise, the strength or the excitability, you can click on the tab at the top and there's sliding scales here for this to do. So you can change it like this, and also there's little information tabs next to them to remind them what they're doing. The way we designed the original tasks at the beginning, they are all referring to node A. So all of the seizures and all kind of the central activity will come from node A excitability. They may have different noise or strength connections that may vary throughout the patients, but node A is where the excitability or the seizure activity all comes from. If we included B, C and D, it would be way too complicated at this stage for the tasks, and the tasks would take a lot longer. So we may add that in the future, but just for your own reference here, we're only changing node A. There is a show more tab here, but we would encourage people not to use that at the minute because it won't really have an effect on these patients. So that's just an aside for you to know. So you can change that here and then click apply and then see how the noise, the strength and changing the excitability will affect the EEG structure. Once they've done this, the next part of the task will ask the students to see what treatment option they think, and we've got drugs here. We've got 2 different drugs that they can explore. Drug 1 changes the excitability and drug 2 changes the noise. You may notice that some of the patients are already taking medication, which is why, for example, this one, drug 2, was already on 50 milligrams. So this patient was already taking 50 milligrams of drug 2. So you can see what the effect of increasing that medication will be, or whether they need to switch drugs or additionally take another drug. So they can explore this and see what they think is the best method of treatment. For 2 of the patients, I believe it's Della and Marco, there is a third task associated with these, and this explores the impact of good sleep, bad sleep and stress, because as we discussed previously, a lot of lifestyle factors can also be triggers for people with epilepsy, so stress is a really good big one, and the quality of sleep. So in the first tasks, the students will come to a treatment recommendation. So they might say for Della, for example, that she needs to increase her medication. But the third task then asks the students to go back and consider what they actually said in their bio. So Della might say that she's really stressed at the minute. And for her, the stress tab might be on. So we will see that the stress actually changes the noise and the excitability. So when they get to this stage here, they'll see that stress is on and they will be able to unclick that and see what that impact has on the EEG structure. So in this case, actually for Della, instead of increasing the drugs, all she needed to do was actually decrease her stress, and then her seizures would be back under control. So for 2 of the tasks, there is this extra little layer of consideration as well. So you can change all of these and then click apply, and this will change the EEG structure at the end. So this is roughly just how the website works as a whole, how you can change things, and if you want to change it back to the original, like I say, you can click the tab underneath network structure to go back to the original structure as well. This is how the website works. There are support sheets as well to help the students along the way. So hopefully this makes sense, and if there's any questions that are unanswered or you can't figure out, please do get in touch.